So Shawke, go ahead and go over our rating system and if you want, discuss the ring mechanics.
Sure. So for the rating system, A's are gonna. The rating system is A through F. There's no E, but an A is the best card in the format, something you want to prioritize in the draft, and something that has a high probability of winning you the game. B card is still very high value, strong card, and something you should prioritize whenever possible. C, which is most cards, are filler that are fine but not amazing. They may or may not make the cut after your draft when you're trying to get your deck down to the right card count. D is generally a poor value for their cost, or they're good only situationally. And then finally, an F should be avoided in limited. And I think it would help, Trados, if maybe you bring up a graphic of the ring card on the screen for folks to look at while we kind of chat through it.
Yep, I can do that here. A second.
While you're talking about it, or while you're bringing that up, I can start talking about it a little bit. So there are a wide variety of cards in this set that have the cool Lord of the Ring flavor of the ring tempts you. So that's a new mechanic just for this set. When that happens, an emblem is created called the ring, and you attach that emblem to one of your creatures. As the ring tempts you, you will add to the number of abilities that are activated on this emblem. So the first time the ring tempts you, that top row, your ring bearer's legendary and can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, is in effect for the creature that you've attached this emblem to. And the ring emblem can only be attached to one creature at a time. And anytime the ring tempts you, you can move it around. You've got to assign it, but you could just reassign it to the creature you've already got it attached to. The next time the ring tempts you, now you have both the first and the second row ability activated, and so on. So by the time the ring has tempted you 4 or more times, all 4 rows of these abilities are activated on this ring emblem, and when you attach it to a creature, it inherits all of those abilities from it. Trey, any thoughts you want to add, or I think I got all that right from everything that I've read.
Yeah, you got it fine. I reread that third row there, and that is just huge. I mean, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose some. Even if it survives, you're gonna lose it.
Well, and if you don't lose something, like because you don't block the ring bearer, then you're going to lose 3 life plus whatever damage that ring bearer did.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's strong, and in the right deck, this may be the mechanic to draft for. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. Actually, this is gonna be one heck of a set. I'll say that.
Big time. All right, so we're on to red.
Yep, starting with Battle Scarred Goblin. Scarred. Battle Scarred Goblin, 1 red, 1 colorless creature, Goblin Warrior, 2/2. And when this goblin becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to each creature blocking it. I gave it a C+.
Yeah, I'm with you on the C+. I mean, it's essentially a 3/2 from a blocking standpoint, right? I mean, and this will kill a lot of things for 2 mana. Nice cheap creature. I like it.
Book of Marzabul, I believe. Mazarbul? Marzabul, whatever. 1 red, 2 colorless. Saga. Phase 1, amass orcs 1. Phase 2, amass orcs 2. Phase 3, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace until end. I gave it a C+. And because I mean, phase 1, phase 2 is me, but the whole creatures get +1 and menace. I like that. I like that a lot. That can win you games when you got a full board too. So
yeah, I'm with you. I gave it a C+. It might even be a little stronger than that. Like you said, it could win games in some decks. So like if you're doing a Rakdos deck where you're pairing this up with black, and black has a lot of amass orcs mechanics in it, then imagine that you're, instead of creating a single token here at the beginning, imagine you've already got an orc army token, right? And so I'm putting a +1/+1 on it with step one. I'm putting a +2/+2 in step two, and then I'm giving something that's now very big another +1 and menace. Um, that's a heck of a threat, and all of that for 3 mana here. It's great value.
Yeah, for me, this is um, it could be, it might be a card that I rank higher, like a B minus. But then again, like I said, B minus and C plus for me are kind of the same. But if you got a full board, if you got like 6 creatures down, they got 6, and they're down by a certain amount of life, this is going to win you the game. They can't block everything, because now they're forced to block 2 per creature. So it's, yeah, for me. Do I want to make this a B minus? No, I'm going to leave it a C plus, because, like I said, phase 1 and phase 2 it's okay, but it's phase 3 is where it gets pretty gnarly.
Yeah, to me there's a big difference between a C minus and a B plus, and here's because of our rating system, right? So anything that's a B plus minus or just plain old B means it's a high value card that you're going to prioritize whenever possible, right? Anything that's a C is fine but not amazing and may or may not make the cut after your draft. So this is in that C category for me, even though it's a very nice looking C. But if I have a deck where I have a lot of amass orc stuff, maybe I do prioritize it. Maybe it moves up into that B category.
I think I will make this a B minus, because you did mention something right about our ranking system. Like, if I'm drafting, I see this, I would want this in my deck if I'm red, black, or red, whatever, because I'm thinking later when that menace hits, I'm hoping it will be game. So I'm going to change it to a B minus.
And you know what? I just read stage 3 again. It's not one creature; it's all creatures get +1/+0 and gain menace. Dang.
That's what I meant. Yeah, like they can't block everything. So that's why I say that right there will win you a game if you have a developed board. And especially if they're down by a certain life, like I said, they can't block everything. So.
See, this would be really fun in Boros too, because paired up with white, which is creating a lot of tokens and stuff, and it favors a go wide strategy. I have a bunch of weenie things on the board, but now I give them all +1 in menace at the end of this. Yeah, you're right. This is B minus, or maybe even just a straight B.
Possibly. Breaking of the Fellowship. 1 red, 1 colorless sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls, being tempts to. I gave it a C, because it's sorcery speed, and yeah.
Yeah, I also gave it a C because it's dependent upon them having creatures where this would be useful, right? But if they do, I love the flavor of making their creatures fight each other, right? Um, this is pretty great. I guess that's supposed to be, what was his name, Boromir and Frodo there, where he tries to take the ring from him. Yeah, I think that's what that art is supposed to be. Pretty cool.
Cast into the Fire. 1 red, 1 colorless. Instant. Choose 1. Cast into the Fire deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures, or exile target artifact. I just gave it a C. It might even be a C.
I think it's a C. It's funny because the artifact removal may end up being one of the more valuable parts of this, but
True.
it's a perfectly fine card. I like the versatility, but it's a C. I'd draft it, but I don't know if I would always keep it at the time to do cuts.
Yeah. Display of Power. You know what? Cast into the Fire. I'm making mine C minus. That whole 1 damage up to 2 target creatures. I wish it was like 2 or something. But anyway,
Well, there's a lot of things with a one but.
yeah, true. Okay, so display of power. Two red pips, 1 colorless instant. This spell can't be copied. You can copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells. You may choose new targets for the copies. So yeah, this can't be copied, but you can copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells and may choose new targets for the copy. I gave it a C plus. Then again, yeah, 3 mana though. Yeah, I'll stay with C plus on this. I mean, you definitely want to play this when you have a lot of mana and you're copying something. So
Yeah, I gave it a C just because these kind of things, they can be really powerful if you have time and the mana for the setup. The fact that it's a double pip red makes it a little less desirable too, because I'm probably going to be playing red with something else, and I need to use 3 mana here just to get this going, and then I still have to have enough mana to cast my other thing that apparently is so wonderful that I want 2 of those. So could be great, but I'm just going to leave it at a C.
all right, so is this Eomer or Eomer? Eomer or Omer? Omer? Whatever. Marshal of Rohan. 2 red, 2 colorless, legendary creature, human knight, 4/4 with haste. Whenever 1 or more other attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. This ability triggers once per turn. I gave it a B plus. It could be an A minus, but it really is dependent on, well, itself counts.
No, it doesn't count. It says when 1 or more other attacking legendary creatures you control
Yeah,
die.
this is true. Yeah, I gave it I'm gonna say B plus. I mean, because you got to have another legendary for this to be A category for me. But I mean, it's powerful, and yes, there are legendaries in this set, but 4/4 for haste. Yeah, well, with upside. Yeah, B plus for me.
Here's why I gave it an A minus, because it could be a game winner.
Yes, it can.
Right? It could be a game winner, which is why it's somewhere in the A category for me, not the B category. I gave it an A minus because of the condition you're talking about. I've got to have another legendary, and it needs to die. This is the Hi-Ya spell, right? This is the Leroy Jenkins kind of spell.
You
It
could
puts the opponent.
sacrifice something, yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're playing with black, you're right. You could attack with everything, and then if you've got a sack outlet, sack one of your legendaries that's attacking. If they don't block, I mean, and especially, honestly, you'd wait till end of turn, right? So you wait to see if they block. If they don't, they just take the damage, and then you sack it anyway. I think that would still trigger this, because it's still considered an attacking creature, isn't it? Or do I have to do it during combat?
Well, yeah, it has to attack, and if it dies, you untap all creatures you control.
Right. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So you would have to sack it during, like, after combat damage is dealt.
You'd have to sack it before you exit the combat stage, right? Okay. Yeah, you couldn't just do it in your end step, for example. Okay. Yeah, but like especially if I'm in Rakdos, I could make sure that this triggers, and then I get a whole nother combat phase, and all my stuff is untapped. Actually, let's see.
I'll change this to an A minus. It could be game breaker.
I think this could be a game winner. Very strong card.
Again, something I can't pronounce. Eomer. Anyway, of the riddle mark. 1 red for colorless, legendary creature, human knight, 5/4 haste. And whenever this attacks, if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature. I gave it a solid B because usually a 5/4 is going to be pretty dang intimidating on the battlefield there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things with power higher than 5 natively. I mean, there's lots of things like the amass mechanic and some other things that can give pluses, so this might not always trigger, but anytime that it does, pumping out the 1/1 white human soldier creatures is just awesome. And again, if I'm in a deck like, say, Rakdos, where I want to sacrifice things, sacrificing those 1/1s is great. If I am playing this in, if I've got those Mirkwood bats down, anytime I'm creating this token, it's pinging the opponent for 1 life as well.
Yes.
There's just all kinds of cool mechanics here. Great card. So I'm with you. It's solid B.
So Erebor, I Flamesmith, 1 red, 1 colorless creature dwarf artificer. It's a 2/1. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this deals 1 damage to each opponent. I gave it a C+.
Yeah, I'm with you on C+. A 2/1 for 2 is a solid C, and then a little bit of upside here. I'm with you. I would pick it.
So Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold, 1 red, 3 colorless, legendary creature, human soldier. That's a 3/3. When this or another human enters a battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. I gave it a B-. It's I think it's a card worth picking. It's not giving my creatures haste or anything, but it is pumping them up. So yeah, I gave it a B-.
Yeah, I think I gave it a solid B. It's not real hard to get the human synergies because a lot of the cards are human. White had a lot of human cards. Heck, even the Aomer of the Rittermark that we just talked about creates a 1/1 white human soldier creature token when it attacks. Right? So if I had both of those on board, and then I attack with the Aomer, it's going to create a 1/1 white human soldier token, which triggers Erkenbrand. Now everything gets a +1/+1. Now my tokens that were 1/1s or 2/1s, that's a lot more threat, right? This is a fantastic card. I give it a solid B.
Sounds good. Fall of KR Andros, I believe. KR Andros? CR, I don't know.
Fall of Care Andros, maybe. I think that's what it is, but we'll see.
Yeah. Probably had it right the first go around. Anyway, 1 red, 2 colorless enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, amass Orcs X, where X is that excess damage. And it's also got a mana activation here for 7 colorless, 1 red. Fall of Air Andros deals 7 damage to target creature. You pay 8, and it also does a whopping 7 target creature. I gave it a B-.
Yeah, I'm with you on the B-. Some of this also depends on how much red direct damage stuff you're able to draft before having to wait to get to this condition. Like if you get to the ultimate condition there where you're able to pop 8 mana each time, that's insane. You know, worst case, it's great removal, but quite often you'll probably cast this on something with a 1 booty and you make a 6/6, or you buff one of your existing orc armies with +6/+6. Whee! That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I gave it a B-.
So Fear Fire Foes, 1 red and X colorless sorcery spell. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Fear Fire Foes deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to other creature with the same controller. So I gave this a B minus because to me it's like Fireball.
Yeah, I'm with you on B minus. I wish it was any target, not just a creature, because that also means this wouldn't impact a planeswalker. I'm just realizing, but the X damage plus 1 damage to everything else, you're gonna pick up a lot of things when you cast that. It's also a little bit of a bummer that it's a sorcery, so I'm with you on B minus.
Lucky says, so for the fall, outside of mono red damage multipliers, it's very niche. If you're pumping 8 mana to the ability, something has gone wrong. Maybe a late draft pool. That was kind of my thinking too, Lucky, which is why I kind of rated it a B minus, because at the end of the day, it's a mana sink for me. But my B minus and a C plus are kind of the same. So yeah, I mean, I could be swayed to do a C plus on Fair, the fall, not Fair. Generally, when I'm picking red, I kind of hope to have some removal. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I change this one later. Yeah, because our spreadsheet isn't set in stone here. We'll change it at a few weeks after the set is live too. So yeah, exactly. It's like yeah. So I mean, if I see this as a first pick, I mean, I might pick it and prioritize direct damage. Yeah, well, C plus is filler, situational. Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm gonna change my rating to a C plus, Shawke on the fall.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. It's a good argument. I totally understand it.
And then we said B minus for Fear Fire Foes, and then we're going on to Fiery Inscription.
Yes.
So yeah, good point, Lucky. Very good point. 1 red, 2 colorless enchantment. When this enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. I gave it a B minus.
Yeah, I'm also at B minus on this one. It also pushes you into drafting a lot more instants or sorceries, but red kind of seems to want to do that anyway, so I think that's on par. This could be pretty handy.
Yeah, I like the fact that I'm going to play an enchantment that tempts me because it advances that ring. But also, if I'm playing red, like I was saying with the fall, if I'm playing red, I hope to have some instant or sorcery spells. So it has a little bit of upside too. So. Fire of Orthonk. 1 red, 3 colorless sorcery. Destroy target artifact or land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. I gave it a D plus. Yes, there is some destroy artifacts that would be nice with this, but it's sorcery, 4 mana, or you could get rid of a land. But generally, sometimes your opponent will be screwed if you target the land, and you'll be able to just run right through their lines. So D is, it's not something I would prioritize, but it is very good situational. So yeah, I love me a Stone Rain, but it's not 3 mana. So yeah, I gave it a D plus.
I've given it a D, but now that I'm reading the second line, creatures without flying can't block. It's probably still a D, but in that situation where I've got a decent board and the opponent has 1 or fewer flyers, and this will let me just hi-ya in and everything gets through, I could win with it.
I mean,
it's kind of unexpected.
It might even be a good C minus. it's just a 4 mana cost, right? But then again, it's Stone Rain with upside.
Well, plus it's sorcery. I mean, I think it's one of those that I'm gonna stick with my gut and leave it at a D for now. But let's put it on that watch list of we might re-rate this one.
Yeah, my D plus is fine on this one. I think I'm not going when I see it. I'm not going to just try to draft it as a priority, but it might make the cut. Yeah. So moving on. Foray of Orcs, 1 red, 3 colorless sorcery. Amass Orcs 2. When you do, Foray of Orcs deals X damage to target creature and opponent controls, where X is the amassed army's power. I gave it a C.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a C minus. Only because if I'm in a situation where I've got no orc armies on board, so I'm creating a 2/2, and this does 2 damage to something for 4 mana at sorcery speed, it's pretty icky. But if I'm in a deck where I've got a fair amount of that stuff, and there's a good chance that this is going to pump up that orc army, and now this becomes bigger, better removal, it's in the C category for me, but on the low side.
Sure.
What did you rate it?
A C for me.
Okay.
It's good filler, but and yeah, I mean, I like the amass stuff, and it could potentially do some good damage, and if not, you're looking at maybe doing 2 with it. So yeah. Let's see. Because yeah, for me, it's a 4 mana, do 2 damage, make a 2/2 creature. So that's why I gave it a C. All right, Gimli, counter of kills, 1 red, 3 colorless, legendary creature, dwarf, warrior, 4/3, trample. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, Gimli, counter of kills, deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. I gave it a C plus. I'd be a little bit more happier if it was a 4/4. It's nice that it does a little bit of ping damage, especially if they're sacrificing their own stuff. Yeah, I'll go with C plus on this.
I was at C plus also, although you just made me realize this is really
It could
nasty.
be a B minus, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at C plus also.
No, I got to change it to B minus. Like if I see this and I'm drafting red, I will want to pick it up.
Yeah, and you know what? It's got trample. Trample's pretty awesome, but you just made me realize that this is nasty against an opponent playing a black deck. Every time they sack a creature, it costs them 1 life. That really shifts the balance.
Oh yeah, if the opponent doesn't have a creature heavy deck, it's not going to be good. I'm talking about in the realm of this being played in limited. So yeah, usually usually they're going to have a creature heavy deck. Usually.
Yeah, yeah. This whole set is not standard legal. It's only modern legal. So really, what we're talking about for Arena anyway, is playing this in limited.
All right, so put me down for a B minus on this.
I'm with you on B minus as I've looked at it more. Trample's actually a pretty big deal.
I mean, that's nice, and it's a legendary creature, and yeah, I'm happy with the B because this check ticks all the check marks for sure. Legendary creature, trample, and it's got some upside, deals some damage. Yeah, I'll take it, and it's not too hard to cast.
And again, flavor points on this one, right? Counter of kills, and even the flavor text they've got at the bottom talking about the competition with Legolas. It's great.
Uh huh. All right, so Gimli's Axe, 1 red, 2 colorless, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+0. As long as equipped creature is legendary, it has menace, and it's got the equip cost of 2. Let's see, Gimli's axe. I gave it a C minus. I'm not big on equipment. I think there's a place for it, and you can certainly add it to your decks. But for me, it's a 5 mana put onto a creature equipment.
Yeah, I hear you, and I just gave it a straight C, but I understand your concerns. To me, I think that you're going to be attaching this to a legendary most of the time. So the card reads +3/+0 with menace. And imagine attaching it to Gimli. Now Gimli is a what, 8/3 with trample. So they've got to deal with it, right? Now it may mean Gimli dies, but then I just reattach this for 2 to something else next time. I don't know. I'm with you that I don't know that I'm not going to prioritize this. It's not a B category for me, but in the right deck with the right number of legendaries, it's playable.
Yeah, I think it's playable,
And
and
it could be really powerful too, because that's the other thing. Like, think about Gimli being that 8/3. Now they got to block it with at least 2 things. And with me doing 8 damage, I'm probably going to kill both of them. So it's a 2-for-1. That's pretty good value.
yeah, um, I guess put me down for a C.
I wasn't trying to sell you on it, just just explaining my logic.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, and that's what we're trying to sell here too. Is two heads. Gimli's Fury here. 1 red, 1 colorless. Instant target creature gets +3/+2 into end of turn. If it's a legendary, it also gains trample until end of turn. Combat trick. I gave it a C plus.
For me, this is a B plus. I think this is really strong because often these combat tricks are used defensively in some ways, but this +3 is a lot, man. And giving something trample for 2 mana, it's an instant. I think this is crazy good. So B plus for me. You said C plus?
Yeah, I see this as a C plus for me. I mean, +3/+2 into end of turn. If it's a legendary, it also gains trample. So for me, it's more of an offensive combat trick. But yeah, it's yeah, like I'd be happy to play it, but I may not prioritize it. But yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I misspoke earlier. I mean, you could use this defensively, but then the trample goes to waste. It is designed for offensive use, but it's just so versatile. And for 2 mana and an instant, I don't know, man. It's a great card. I would
Yeah.
prioritize this over other cards if I'm in red.
Okay. Gloin, Dwarf Emissary, 1 red, 2 colorless. Legendary creature, Dwarf Advisor, 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. This ability triggers only one turn. It's also got a tap symbol on it for sacrifice a treasure. Goad target creature. I gave it a B.
I gave this one a B plus. I think the goat ability is really great, depending upon what other things you've got going on in your deck. Again, think about like a red-black deck where I've got some things on board that have death touch, and I can force one of their big bad things to attack and just block it with my death toucher. So goodbye. There's some neat things you can do with all that, or I can make one of their things attack because I need it out of the way for my next round of attack. Right? Like, I mean, there's all kinds of interesting nuances to that mechanic there. I like it a good bit, and making the treasure tokens is great because there's a lot of token synergies too. We've talked about some of those already.
Moving on to Goblin Fire Leaper, 1 red, 1 colorless creature goblin warrior, 1/1. It's got a mana activation here for 1 colorless, 1 red, and Goblin Fire Leaper gets +1/+0 until end of turn, so you can pick it up. When Goblin Fire Leaper dies, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So I gave this a C plus, but I might actually bump this to a B minus because this can get a little nasty.
I was just thinking the exact same thing because I also gave it a C plus. I think it's situational as to whether it's a C or a B for me, though. Right? It depends on what else I'm offered in that pack. So I don't know that it makes it into B territory for me, but yeah, this could be really valuable, especially because of that. You can pump it. So let's say you've pumped it to a 3/1 or a 4/1, which really pushes them to block it, and then you get to do 4 damage to something else, to another creature. A lot of value for 2 mana. Pretty great. If you're playing anything aggro, you want a bunch of these. I like it.
Oh yeah, and that's why I say it for a B for me, just because, some people wait to pump it up, but you could really be, strutting your muscles here by pumping it up before the combat phase, going, you may want to block this, and then get rid of something nasty on the board on top of it, forcing them to make the block. So
Yeah.
and then play another one.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know, man. I mean, there's so many other cards that are also good. I just wonder if I would pick this over those, but this is high on the list. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's why I gave it a B minus. But yeah, who knows? I might change it in the future. Grishnaka, I'm probably saying that wrong. Brash Instigator, 1 red, 2 colorless, legendary creature, Goblin Soldier. That's a 1/1. When this enters the battlefield, amass Orcs 2. When you do, until end of turn, gain control of target non-legendary creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the amassed army power. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Had this at a B minus. It's 3 mana. Usually you want to play this when you have an army that's kind of beefed up anyway. Otherwise, you're just gaining control of a winning creature. And even if so, it's 3 mana, gain control of something, and maybe you get to sacrifice whatever you gain control. So that's why I gave it a B minus. Like I would play this and I would try to utilize it other than just playing for a creature and amassing for it.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I've got it at C plus right now, but you're right. It may be something that I prioritize higher after we get into the set and actually play some games.
Moving on to, let's see, this Haradrim or Haradrim, Spearmaster. 1 red, 2 colorless, creature, human warrior, 2/3. It has reach, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Just 1 more. I gave it a B minus because for the I think flyers are the evasion in this is, I think. I think people are going to win this way because you're going to be developing the ground and then they start sneaking through. On top of that, you're given another creature +1/+0 until end of turn. So yeah, I gave it a B minus on this one.
I gave it a C plus, but I hear you. I wish it was a little better than a 2/3, but a lot of the flyers we've seen have 1 or 2 butts. There are some that have 3 or 4 butts. But this definitely is useful there. I don't know. I mean, like, I would draft it. I might keep it in.
It might be a C. You know what? I'm going to change it to a C plus because yeah, you're right. 2/3 is meh.
Yeah, it's okay. If I had some way to pump this up, it gets a whole lot more interesting to me because then it's a much more effective flying blocker for sure. But like, let's say they don't have any flyers. It's not doing a lot. Like it's fine, but it's not super high value to me.
Yeah, and my Bs, I would think I would draft those more overseas. So yeah, I got to move it to a C plus.
Makes sense.
You the Entwood, 2 red, 3 colorless, sorcery. Sacrifice any number of lands. Reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands sacrificed this way. Choose any number of artifact and or land cards revealed this way. Put all non-land cards chosen this way onto the battlefield. Then put all land cards chosen this way onto the battlefield tapped. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a. All right, so let me think here. Choose any number of artifact and or land. Put those non-land. I don't know why they say non-land cards. It should just be. Well, I guess artifacts can be. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with B on this.
I gave it a B plus, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out. It's obviously a very late game card because you're not going to want to sacrifice a lot of lands mid game, and if you don't get much card draw, you're not getting much value out of this thing. And it's quite a gamble. Let's say you've sacrificed 5 lands, right? And you look at the top 5 cards in your library, and there's 1 land in there. So you're down 4 now.
Yeah, so Corvlod really wants this. Look, he says it'll trigger a lot of land pod. Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I've got this at a B plus. I'm actually going to back it off to a B. But I think it's a B. I think it's risky. It's like you only live once kind of card. All right, YOLO, here we go.
Well, but see, when you're playing this, for me in my head, I'm playing this late. You don't have many, stuff in your. Well, but see, okay, here we go. You're sacrificing to dig, and the problem with this. Yeah, I actually wrote D/B on this because I don't like the fact that I have to build my deck around artifacts. This is a really highly situational card.
But maybe it's at least in the C category. Maybe it's more of a C plus.
I mean, if you don't have artifacts, that's a whiff. If you don't have something that has landfall on it, it's also a whiff.
Well, yes and no, because it does filter land out of your library, so the chance of you drawing value goes up.
True. And you're not losing the cards that get added back to the your library in a random order.
Yeah, what you potentially lose is all the lands you sacrifice when you cast this.
I may put this at a C.
Yeah, I just backed up to a C plus on it. The more I'm thinking it over.
I mean, it's not. Well, is this a D now? Because it's so situational.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I get your point. It's the artifacts part, right? But even if you don't have a lot of artifacts, you're thinning land out of your library.
True. Right? Okay, I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C.
Yeah.
All right, improvised club. 1 red, 1 colorless instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or. Improvised club deals 4 damage to any target. I gave it a C.
Yeah, I gave it a C also. Are treasure tokens artifacts, or are they just tokens?
Well, some are. No, wait. Treasure tokens are artifacts. Yes, I think. I had to.
I'll look it up. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are.
It's a colorless artifact. Yeah, so see, you could sack a treasure token.
Yeah, even better.
Which is pretty good because we've seen a number of things that generate treasure tokens. So but, maybe that's. I'm gonna bump mine to C plus.
Yeah, I left it at C because for me, it's a nice removal, but it is highly dependent on whether you're going to sacrifice an artifact or creature. For me, I would love to use this with that 3 mana card that we get to steal something and then sacrifice that creature to do 4 damage. Target. There you go.
Well, here's the other thing. Improvised Club deals 4 damage to any target. So
Any
it's not
target,
just
yes.
not just removal. You can smack them in the face with this, which could be really significant. 4 damage is a fair amount.
Oh yeah. Especially as I feel like the power of the ring is growing on top of this. Yeah, you're definitely gonna go face.
I think so. I think most of the time you're just going to go right up the schnozzle there.
You know what? I'll give it a C plus. We'll go with that.
All right. Moria Marauder.
2 pips of red, creature goblin warrior 1/1. It's got double strike, and whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So keywords there. If you don't play it that turn, you're going to lose. So I give it a C plus. 2 pips being why. That's all.
Me too. Now, think about that instant that gives something +3/+2. Dropping it down on this once you've declared the attackers and they don't block. Now you're coming in with a 4/4 double strike, whacking them for 8.
I mean, yeah, I see your point. And like I was saying, with the ring being a power play in this set, maybe.
Oh yeah, make this your ring bearer, right?
Oh my gosh! And then you put the 3/2 on top of it. Yeah.
You know, you got to build on this
now.
card because just by itself, it's not that big a deal. But I think I'm actually I'm going to B- on it.
Yeah, I'll go to B- too.
I would prioritize drafting this. There's too many fun things to do with it, and this makes equipment look more interesting.
True.
So hell, imagine Gimli's axe on this, right? Oh shoot, it's not legendary though.
But it still would be juicy.
But it'd still be a 4/1 double striker. You gotta deal with it. Yeah, pretty cool. The fact that it's not legendary is great because that means I could potentially draft more than one. That'd be nasty.
Lucky's like, get this in my goblin trial.
Tribal. Yeah. You in my goblin deck. Yeah.
All right, so Oliphant. Hopefully I said that right. Because in my head I'm like baloney bologna. I got different ways I can say this, of course.
That's funny.
1 red, 5 colorless, creature elephant, 6/4, trample. When this attacks, another target creature you control gets +2 and +0 and gains trample until a turn. And it's got mountain cycling for 1. I gave it a B-.
I gave it a straight B, but I'm with you. I mean, I would like it to have a little bigger butt. But a 6/4 with trample is pretty awesome. And especially if I throw any other equipment on this, it gets even more interesting.
Ulagai. Ulagai. I don't know. Crusher. 1 red, 3 colorless, creature, troll, soldier, 4/4, trample. This can't block unless you control a goblin or orc. I gave it a C-, but usually when you're playing red, you're gonna have goblins and orc, so it gets a little higher. But if you don't have any goblins or orcs, then that kind of sucks.
I don't know. I guess I just love trample, and there aren't a lot of creatures with giant behinds, so a 4/4 trample sounds pretty interesting to me. Again, this probably becomes a body that I attach equipment to, so maybe it's a bit situational. Maybe I was a little ambitious. I'll make that a C+. So I'm C+, you're C-. But I like the trample. If I could throw equipment on it, it gets a lot more interesting.
Yeah, because it would be higher for me if it could block all the time. So,
Yeah,
but
I don't think, like you said, I don't think that's going to be a big problem in red, unless
it
your
probably
board has
won't
just
be.
been decimated. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably won't be. I mean, when you're fighting with goblins anyway, you're like, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it probably won't be a problem. But who knows?
All right, Coral's End.
So I'm gonna change it to a C. There we go.
The Olog High Crusher you're changing to a C?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe I'm being a little harsh, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cora's in. One red, two colorless. Sorcery is an additional cost to cast this spell. Discard a card. Draw two and create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. I gave it a C plus.
Yeah, me too. Perfectly playable card.
Rally at the Hornburg. One red, one colorless. Sorcery. Create two 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. Humans you control gain haste. A C plus for me.
I gave it a B minus just because it's pretty good value, creating two bodies. And there's a lot of human synergies in red, but also in white and several other colors. So I don't know. I don't know that the haste is that big a deal, but 2 mana to create two 1/1 bodies, pretty high value. Maybe I was going a little crazy with that though. I think I'm going to go back to a C plus. What did you rate it?
C plus.
C plus. Yeah. You know what? That's more accurate. I don't know I don't know that I would heavily prioritize this over other things, but I would be real happy to take it.
Yeah, like if I have 2 mana, I'm not gonna hold this card and wait for my board to be all humans. I'm gonna play it for the two white 1/1. So 90% of the time.
Plus, the other thing here is like if I'm in Boros, white, like I said, wants to go wide. Red really does too. This just supports that strategy so well. And then we've seen cards that buff tokens. So this just lays the groundwork very nicely for lots of wide bodies that get pumped up.
Yeah. Ranger's Firebrand, one red sorcery. It deals 2 damage to any target, and the ring tempts you. What did I do? So I did this a B minus.
B minus, like B Bravo.
No, just B minus. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I did a C plus. But great card. If it was an instant, I'd be more in the B category, but it's still a great card. Be happy to take it.
Relentless Rohirrim? Yeah, Rohirrim.
Rohirrim, I think, yeah.
Yeah, because of Rohan. Yeah. So one red, 3 colorless creature, human knight. It's a 4/3, and when this enters the battlefield, the winged gave it a C plus. I'd be happy to have it.
I gave it just a plain old C because it's basically a 4 mana 4/3. It does have the ring temps you mechanic, which may be way more valuable later. But I got it at a C right now. But I understand your C plus.
Rising of the Day, 1 red, 2 colorless enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. I just gave it a C plus.
This one's a C for me, just because it depends a lot on how many legendary creatures I've got. But if I've got quite a few of them, it's pretty nice. I mean, 3 mana to pump everything's power by 1. It's all right, but I don't know. It's a C for me.
I just I like the, if I'm gonna draft this, I'm gonna draft it for straight up aggro. So I like the haste part of it. The legendaries is getting +1 is a nice little bonus, but I like the haste. I mean, it could be a solid C, maybe even a C minus, but for me, if I'm gonna be picking it, I'm gonna try to be aggrolicious. So
Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're talking me into it. C plus does make more sense because imagine dropping the elephant or something, right? 6/4 comes bombing in with haste and it's attacking now. No summoning sickness. That's pretty big.
Yeah, and 3 minutes not bad. So you're gonna play this usually, as early as you can. So
You hope.
you
You
hope.
hope.
Rohirrim Lancer, 1 red, a creature human knight for a 1/1, and it's got menace. And when this dies, a ring tempts you. Ooh, I had this at a C plus. Yeah, I because of the 1/1, but at the same time, the ring tempting you. Do I? Well, C plus and B minus are kind of the same thing, but I'm not going to prioritize it. So yeah,
But
I
they're
say C
not the
plus.
same thing. Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked about that.
I know, I knew. For me, it's almost the same.
No, I mean, B means you would prioritize it over other picks, right? So would you pick a 1 mana 1/1 with menace and ring temps you when it dies over other options in a pack? You'd have to have a pretty lousy pack, I think.
Yeah, you would have to. Yeah, make it C plus.
Yeah. Okay. Rush the room.
1 red instant target creature gets +1 and +0 and gains first strike until end of turn. It's a goblin or orc. It also gains haste until end of turn. I gave it a C. I like first strike stuff. I really, really do. But I don't like the fact that you would have to play this before combat is declared because just to give something haste. So I gave it a C.
Well, let's think about that. Yeah, you're right. You would. The haste piece to me is not that big a deal. I gave this a D because I think it's very situational. So if I have big red cards like some of the ones we've seen, um, that are already on board, and I've got again like the elephant. Like one of my issues with it is got 6 power but only 4 toughness, so the chances of it dying are high. But if I can attack with it, and then once they declare blockers, pop this in, and now it's a 7/4 with first strike, a good chance I might take out what they were going to block with, and it survives. So then it's interesting to me, but that's situational. So I gave this one a D.
Sounds good. Smite the Deathless. 1 red, 1 colorless instant. Smite the Deathless deals 3 damage to target creature. That creature loses indestructible until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, dial it instead. Gave it a B.
Yeah, I gave it a B minus for some reason. Why did I do that? Well, I guess because it's 3 damage, right? 3 damage takes out a lot of things, but not a lot of the good legendary cards, right? They've got bigger booties than that. I don't know. It's a perfectly good card. It's in the B range for me, but it's a B minus because of the 3 damage.
Sure.
And it's only to a creature. I can't go face. I can't go planeswalker, right?
Moving on to Spiteful Banditry. 2 red and X colorless enchantment. When this enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each creature. Whenever one or more creatures your opponents control die, you create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once. Gave this an A minus.
I gave it an A. I mean, these kind of wrath spells are always scary because you have a good chance of wiping a lot of your stuff too. But this is pretty gnarly, man.
Yes.
Plus, it pumps out treasure tokens. From after all that, it's an enchantment. It's not just an instant. It stays on board and keeps giving value. So it's an A for me.
Well, just one treasure token, unfortunately, because that ability only triggers.
But each turn. So for
yeah,
future turns,
yeah. There you go.
right? For future turns, and similarly, if I've got my good old favorite creature, the Mirkwood Bat, on deck, then every time it makes a treasure token, it pings the opponent for 1 life too. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I wish it was a little bit more, but yeah, A minus for me.
Well, yeah, but go back to my Mirkwood example. So it makes a treasure token, and then I burn it to, use the mana, or not use the mana. Now I've hit the opponent for 2 life, and I just finished probably wiping their board. I don't know, man. It's an A. Like it's gonna be just crazy.
All right. Swarming of Moria, 1 red, 2 colorless sorcery. Create a treasure token. This works too. For me, this is just a C.
I'm also at a C on that one.
Lucky gives Spiteful Banditry a B minus. It can be a board wipe in the right spot. Yeah. There and back again. 2 red and 3 colorless Saga. Up to 1 target on phase 1. Up to 1 target creature can't block. For as long as you control There and Back Again, the ring tempts you. Phase 2. Search your library for a mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. Phase 3. Juicy part of this. Create Smog, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying, haste, and when this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. Imagine combining that with your Mirkwood bats.
Yeah, Mirkwood is the hidden mythic of the set, right? If you're doing the right things, it's crazy.
Okay, hold up. What did I rate Mirkwood bats?
Yeah, now you're seeing. Just call me Batman, right? I freaking love that card, man. I gave it a B.
I may even go B plus on this sucker.
Well, I mean, it could be an A in the right deck. If you got a deck
Yeah.
that's pumping out a lot of tokens, and especially if you can get more than 1 Mirkwood bat, so your chance of having at least 1 on board or maybe multiples on the board go up. Oh, dude, yeah, I'll prioritize those little boogers every chance I get.
So okay, so yeah, There and Back Again. I gave it an A minus.
This is a solid A for me. And the fact that it summons Smaug, right, is too cool. And again, flavor wise, 14 treasure tokens while you're at it, just perfect. I really appreciate the care that they put into this set for thematically, right? But this, to me, this is a solid game winner most of the time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely an A card for sure. For War Beast of Gorgoroth, 1 red, 4 colorless creature beast that is a 5/4, and whenever this or another creature you control with power 4 or greater dies, mass orcs 2. Why do I have a B minus on this? Because it's very situated. I'm gonna do C plus.
I'm B minus on it. I would priority pick it just because it's a 5/4, which is a pretty beefy.
B minus, yeah, B minus. Because yeah,
5/4 is a decent power and decent enough toughness for 5 mana. I'm sure, right? And then if I get the Amass Orcs 2 out of it occasionally, all right. Plus, again, maybe I end up attaching some equipment to these things, right? So they get even more interesting.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a five mana cast for a 5/4 creature, and when it itself dies, you're going to get usually you're going to get 2/2 orc out of this, or you're going to put 2 1/1 counters. Of course, it would suck if they put that -2/-2 on this, and then killed it that way, and it wouldn't even trigger the amass. But
well, that's sneaky. Yeah, although that -2/-2 is only till end of turn, so they'd have to. Yeah, they'd have to hit it, I guess, while you're attacking.
Well, yeah, if you kill it that way, and of course take away its power, then
yeah, you're right.
It loses value. But yeah, I see. Yeah, a B minus is pretty solid for this.
I think it is.